Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. As you know, I am Pastor Nicola English. I'm a mom, doesn't know, missionary, motivational speaker, evangelist, and like the title says, pastor. So, welcome to I Talk with Pastor, where we explore conversations about life and faith. Now, I'm grateful that you have tuned in. So, I want you to take a moment to share as we dive into this intriguing topic. So, you should be doing that right now, sharing. So, good night, good night, good night. Where are you from? Hello, or good morning, or good day. Whatever time you're watching this, let me know where you're watching from. I want to know all about you and how you've been enjoying the program so far, the different episodes in which we have had here on I Talk with Pastor. So, tonight we are going to delve into, as I said, a very intriguing topic. We are talking about romance and finance, couples with sense. I guess some of you get the pun that was definitely intended. Romance and finance, couples with sense. Now, this discussion, of course, isn't just about in relationships, all right? About those who are in relationship. Tonight, we aim to help everyone with their financial situations, regardless of where you are in life. Now, while I enjoy preaching and offering advice, there are areas where I am not an expert. And I believe in bringing in those who are experts on matters. I may be an expert on romance, but I don't think I'm an expert on finance. So, joining me tonight is Mrs. Desiree Hackett Murray. Now, as she comes on and she's coming on, I know some of you, when the program gets started, you don't know, you don't want to move away. So you need to take the time to share. So this is your opportunity to share. All right. So share, share, share. Take the opportunity, share, 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 share to somebody. As I always say, when you share, you can save a life. So share. Now, Mrs. Desiree Hackett Murray, she is a certified financial advisor with over 20 years of experience. Now, she has held that role, as she has held many roles at the Tobago Investment Center and major banks. She holds a bachelor's in business administration and she has various certificates, including one in customer service and leadership. Now, Desiree is a member of the University of the Southern Caribbean's Board of Trustees, and she serves on the Tobago House of Assembly Funds Management Committee. Alongside her financial career, she is a certified life coach, empowering career women. Now, in her spare time, though, she enjoys reading, exercising, baking, and working with the youth. And so, I don't even know what to say, Sister Maria. I'm so accustomed to calling her Sister Maria. so, so tonight I'm going to call you Desiree. Welcome to I Talk with Pastor. It is so great having you here this evening, sharing this experience. How are you?
Thank you, Pastor. I am excellent. And you know what? Sister Desiree is fine. It's a love thing after all. Tonight,
It
you said the topic is romance and finance. So let's keep love in the house. I'm quite okay with that, Pastor. And good evening to everyone. Good evening to all your followers, all your listeners, and everyone else who would be tuning in to this I talk
I
with
talk about.
Pastor.
I am telling you, it happens to me too. So some days I'm like, "Is this I talk?" I will. Oh yes, whatever it is, we're doing it with pasta talk or walk. I should
Walk the
really have
talk.
a program. Have I eat with pasta and do some baking? We'll see how that goes. Um, But we're here tonight. We're looking at this topic here. Very intriguing. Some folks say they want to know what it's about: romance and finance, couples with sense. So tonight, I want to ensure that there are folks, I see there are many folks who are signed on. So take this opportunity to say hi. Let me know where you're from as we get into this topic. Now, as you would know, that they say that divorce, when it comes to divorce, finance happens to be one of the top two. Sometimes they always interchange, all right? But sometimes it's the top one, sometimes it's number one, sometimes it's number two, which means that there's always some issue with finance in marriages. Now we know that there are many people who have financial issues and problems because we come from different backgrounds. And sometimes my way of spending or saving is not necessarily your way. And these folks come together, they love each other, but finance gets into the way. All right. So I want to ask a question just as you get into your presentation here. I want to ask folks a question. How good are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being nil and 10 being very good. All right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at managing your money? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Let me hear you. Let me hear you. I can tell you, for me personally, I will give myself a 7.5. And looking more 7.4-ish, but I'm gonna give. I do not think I'm in the top 10 or 9 or so. So I'm somewhere around 7.5. So I want to know, my friends, between a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on on the scale for managing your finance? Where were you? Tell me. Let us know. Let us know. We have folks coming in. Gregory from Guyana. We have Crystal. We have Janelle. We have Blondell. So we have a mixture here of Guyana and Tobago tuning in, and of course many of you from all around. But they're really here to hear you. So, Sister Desiree, no, I love that. Talk to us. Talk to us about this romance and finance.
Yes, romance and finance. And Pastor, you said you gave yourself a liberal 7.4
It
to
is quite.
7.5.
It's liberal.
You be- well, I think you're being modest. Nonetheless, for our other viewers who would have rated yourself, my question to you would be, what would it take, therefore, and you, Pastor, to be
Yes.
able to move you from your, whether it's 7.4 or your 5, to that next level, perhaps a 9? What would it take for you to get to that? And I think this is where our conversation could feed into that
Yes.
somewhat. So,
Definitely.
it's, as she said, it's really an exciting topic. I got excited when I heard it, and we can switch it anyhow, whether it's finance and romance, romance and finance. You take your pick. And when the topic came to me, I said, to put it in an even more simplified way, money and honey. So let's see what happens when we put our money and our honey together. Pastor rightly said this contributes a lot to a high divorce rate. It contributes to a lot of conflict in relationship. And, I just want to start off by saying, is that altogether bad in terms of money being a source of conflict, a source of resentment at times in relationship? I would say it is somewhat normal. What we want to do is not to have it remain at that stage. And how could we really, as I said, to move from that next level, whether it's your 7.4, to having us manage our monies, especially in the context of relationship, in the context of romance, in the context of couples, that you end up in a win-win situation. Let's look at money as a tool. because ideally that is what it is. It is a tool, though a source for conflict, though a source for retaliation and resentment. It is a tool. And money is your tool, finance is your tool in order to help you as a couple to get all those wonderful things, all your aspirations, whether it's to have your own home, whether it's planning to have your children, you can use this tool to help you achieve this. Oftentimes, what happens in relationship, we are in love, the honey is flowing, and one of the last or the least of things we discuss is money. It's nowhere on our radar. So we talk about all the fanciful things that we want and good things. But because money is never considered as a topic, whether it's premarital or at some point in that relationship, when the relationship solidifies and you start engaging in deeper level activities, then you realize, okay, your spending habit or your frugality seem to be creating some level of stress in this relationship. So you realize perception that you may have had never discussed. You just assume because perhaps in your household, this is how it used to be. Mommy handled the family finances, or daddy handled the family finances. So you naturally had that expectation, never had it as a conversation, never had it as a discussion. And so automatically, that person, your spouse, is supposed to read your mind and know this is how it is supposed to be. And guess what? There comes a rude awakening that my spouse is not a mind reader. And so she is doing or he's doing totally opposite to what I know it is supposed to be.
I
And
want to pause there. I want to pause there and ask a question, of course. And that question for those who are listening, somebody may have that. At what stage in the relationship should we start discussing finance? What stage? You know, we're gonna have the questions coming in along the way. But what do you think will be a good stage in the relationship to start to discuss the finance?
all right. So we can look at it as a general topic. It's understanding how we think about certain things. So I would say in the initial stage, this could be a conversation. Now, we're not getting personal and getting into the point of how much we are working for, but general principles, general approach, just like we may discuss how we feel about choose a topic. And so money could be one of these topics in your interaction. One could think, I believe in saving or putting aside funds for retirement, for example. And in that conversation, another spouse could, the friend, sorry, because it's just initial stage, could say, I think that's a good idea, but that's far from now. We are young. I am a young person and I don't think it's crucial. And so you're having an appreciation of each other's mindset. And in that general conversation, you're going to realize if this is, again, a general view or if it's entrenched in terms of your value system. And if you gather that as the relationship continues, this is where you go deeper and then you're going to observe as well. You're going to observe as you interact the person's spending habits. You're going to have an idea of that. The relationship gets deeper and you get into a little more meaningful level conversation, a little more specific now in terms of what you hope to achieve together and how money, how your finances will play a part in that.
All right, thanks, thanks. That
Yes,
sounds like a fair answer. For some folks, they want to hear months or weeks. So we discussed this on our first date or second. How soon? Are
but
we
guess
very
what?
serious? So as you rightfully said, it depends. There are different level of financial
That's right.
discussion that you're going to have as things get serious. If you're going on a date, what is, I think for me, if I must add, then it's important to discuss finance and not take it for granted. Because sometimes, I mean, especially for women, a man does not know whether he's dating a liberal woman or not. Where she say, "I'm going to take care of half of this," or there's an expectation that she thinks. So I think even in the initial dating, there's some level of financial. This first date, you're going out, you're going to get something to eat. We need to know who's covering what. Let's just have that clear and
That's right.
comfortable. So
Yes,
I
and
agree
even
with you, State.
outside,
Yes.
yes, even outside of that dating context, sometimes a group of friends, you decide to go hang out. You because I've heard of cases, where one assume I threw the idea, let's go to restaurant X. And so all my friends assume that because the idea initiated from me, I am going to cover the bill. And
Oh.
everyone was at the end looking at each other because they're thinking this particular friend. So it's a conversation that should be had very early in the stage, depending again on what is happening. Hear this, Pastor Newsom and our viewers. Now, you can use it as a current in terms of conversation, what's happening, current events. There might be a financial literacy week, for example, and I
Yes.
think that normally takes place in November month. This could be a head start if you're not comfortable, because money talk could be a hard conversation.
Hmm.
And so you use current events, current affairs, things that's happening, whether it's the national budget, to share views and have an idea as to where that person's thought process is regarding their money. Now, as couples, romance and finance, as couples, if we don't understand each other's spending habit, and not only understand it, but accept and appreciate it. So you might be the saver in the family, you might be the saver in the relationship, and that's fine. And in your view, you may think my spouse or my partner is supposed to be a saver too, but their style might be different. The important thing is communication, being open about the discussion, being honest as to each other's position, and then once you have current goals, similar values, you find a middle ground. There must be some level of compromise at times. So you may have your non-negotiable in terms of your high priority values, the high priority things that as a couple you wish to achieve, those nice things, all your aspirations. So you may not want to necessarily compromise those, but you look at the other areas and give room so that as far as it can take place, you're able to satisfy each other's need in the relationship.
Excellent. Excellent. So
Okay.
here we have it. Before, I know you have so much more to share with us. And I want to take this moment to plug in to say, folks, just share the live and also to send in your questions. If you have questions, you want to know something about finance, I mean, this is the time to shoot it. Once you're able to answer it, we can answer the question. I mean, Sister Desiree is going to answer the question, Madam Desiree. She's good. And we will see how we can pitch in, but share. Discussion of finance is important at every stage and in every relationship. I think that's the key takeaway from all that was said so far. Finance, as hard as a topic it may be, it should be discussed. We should be aware and be on the same page when it comes to understanding what is happening and what we're doing with our money together. So we're there. So we're romance and finance. We're in the relationship. We're going on. Talk to us about what we're doing with the money, with the dollars or with the cents. What are we doing with it? What are we doing with it?
Well, the answer to that lies with the couple. The
Yes.
answer to that lies with the couple, because this is where the communication should take place as to and I'm using the word often, what are our objectives? What are our aspiration as a couple? These are the things, okay, as a couple, perhaps in your 20s,
Mm-hmm.
where do you see yourself in the next 5, 15 years? And how would money impact that vision? And based on your responses to that, this is where now you can allocate your money accordingly. Some general things, though, that as a couple you may want, because one always seek to obtain financial independence. Who doesn't want financial security? In order to achieve that, then you're thinking long term. So all your money, all your income cannot simply be to take care of your daily needs, cannot be
Okay.
simply to be paying bills. You must be able to set aside a certain amount. That means the big B word. You do a budget. You write what you want and what timeline you have in mind as a couple. Perhaps you're renting now, and your plan together, you would have agreed on this. In the next 5 years, we see ourselves having our own home. And then that's just a general vision. This is where you put pen to paper, you put a plan in place. And so you have a family plan. So this is your big picture as a family, as a couple. This is what we want. It's a vacation in the next 2 years. It's the property that you wish to acquire. You want to be able to get into some form of investment instead of just simply having your funds on normal savings. Normal savings would take care, yes, of your daily, everyday needs, but you want investment that would be able to align to those long term objectives you would have as a family. Critically,
Excellent.
I don't,
Oh, you share that last point. Share that
yeah,
point as
yes,
I recap. Go ahead.
I don't want us to miss this. Underlying all that I'm saying, it's communication.
All
We
right.
must have the hard conversation and agree. And if it's one-sided, where if the male is taking charge and leading on and there isn't consultation, this is where some form of retaliation and resentment could step in. And remember, we are saying it's a tool, and we can use that tool when we communicate rightly to get to that point. Pastor.
All right, excellent, excellent. I always like to just throw in, step in so that we can have the viewers on board here. So as we get this, for those of us who are now joining in, we're talking romance and finance, couples with sense. All right. Now, I hear from that you're saying that the couple should have communication and consultation. Is that correct? So somebody
Correct.
needs to put that down. Communication and consultation. Write that down. Communication and consultation. And when we're talking communication and consultation, we're saying that we need to continue, we need to have this discussion about what is our overall objective. All right. And as we are discussing and in the consulting, you're sharing your idea because not only do I want us now, not only am I communicating to you this overall objective, I need you to also share in this and listen. So there is no one person, or are we agreeing to say that no one person in the relationship is supposed to be planning everything when it comes to the money?
Now, one person could plan everything. That
Okay.
must be agreed upon, but you
It must be
must
agreed.
have the input
Input.
of the other spouse. It's okay if you decide, my spouse, my partner is stronger. That's their strength.
Yes.
And I've heard couples share that their marriage has been successful for 20 plus years
Right.
because of the strength of their spouse financially. So it's okay to have one person plan, but that one person planning should not be outside of feedback and input from the spouse. Now, and if we should have the conversation wider to say family, that's another discussion in terms of possibly input from children and other members of the household.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Some people may argue, some people may disagree with that. I want us to be clear that when we say we having one person plan, is that we're also having the other individual
that's
making
right.
contribution, and
That's
they
right.
are aware. Some people know how to go on computer, put in the stuff, get it
That's
done,
right.
how we can do, and even give better idea based
So
on their
here's the thing.
backgrounds and experience of handling money. Because there are people who know to have money, there are people who know to handle money. It's two
Yes.
different.
Right. The
Okay.
thing is trust. So if I am comfortable and I trust my partner, my spouse, to handle everything, because they are relationship like that. I know again of some wives, they have no idea how to pay bills and so on. Said my husband handles those things. Is that a wise approach? I would want to caution there, even if your spouse is handling everything, you need to be aware. Why is that so? Let's say, for example, in the event of sudden death or perhaps illness, what would be your position if you are not on current with what is happening, if you're not current with what's happening? So, yes, if your circumstance and your comfort level and your trust allows it to have your spouse handle everything, be aware. And it means, again, the conversation must take place. Could
Excellent.
could we talk a bit, because this sometimes I know it's a biggie when you're
Yes.
dealing with finance and romance.
Yes.
What about that joint account?
Joint account. People, I
Yes.
already have a question here on that. People want to know, should to join or not to join is the question. Should
Big
we? Let us
question.
know. Who wants to know about this joint account business? Well, folks want to know. Do we put all the money in one? Do we know what is it? Tell us about the joint account or accounts. Or should all be joined? Or just one be joined? Or no
Well,
joining? Talk to us.
uh-huh. This one, viewers, is a big one. This one is a source of major conflict. Why? Because sometimes the issue of trust, and again, not having that hardball conversation. So here's the offering. Should I have a joint account or not? What I love about this discussion, it isn't a one size fits all. Sometimes when I go to buy stockings, you see one size fits all. And sometimes I purchase it and it still would not fit. So we don't have that dilemma to deal with. How you handle, you have options. So let's look at it. Let's start off with having your individual account, your independent account. You have yours, I have mine. If that's working for the family, if that's working for the couple, that is excellent. Remember, it's a conversation and we agree this is what is working for us. And we know what our goals are. We know who is handling bill X. We know who is handling investment Y. You have this account, I have that account. Option one. Option two, that joint account. Yes, you decide as a couple, we are going to have our joint account. Take it to the next level. Would our joint account be either one to sign because we love and trust each other? Or would our joint account be both must sign at all times? Again, because we trust each other, or perhaps not. You decide what works for you. You're going to have the discussion and you make a decision. You have yours, I have mine. This is what we're handling. Option one. Option two, we are saying, let's do it together. And we would decide on our joint account, both must sign at all times, well, of course, you'll have implications on either side. Or you have where either one could sign. This is the account, and we're going to handle everything through our joint account. All our discussion, it's jointly, well, it's done together. And finally, there's yours, there's mine's, and there's ours. There's yours, there's mine, and there's ours. So if you listen carefully, you would realize option three, it's a marriage between options one and options two, somewhat pulling the pros from both. If as a couple you want that one, you have the conversation. I have my personal account. You have your personal account to treat with your stuff and the joint account. We're going to use that to deal with mutual things or mutual goals, our plans. So those are the options. I'll pause on this to get some feedback. Do we have any questions on that one? So guys, that's it. It's buffet style in terms of
Yeah.
which style, which type, which option are you going to go with? And some of it, based on your relationship, trust would play a major role.
All right. So let me zoom in on there. One of the most important things that you said here, what I took from what you were saying, is that it is the couple's choice.
Couples
It
choice.
is the couple's choice. And this is why it's important that we know that it's the couple's choice. People have varying situations and
That's right.
circumstances. People have spouses who, they can spend out the money, they're not good at that. And sometimes a one may need to be one where, guess what, I need to put away some money here and some other money over there in order to save the family. So you saying that it is the couple's choice and what they go through, that is very, very important. However, when we think about, when we are saying the ideal, if you're married to somebody, you're in a relationship, you have your partner, you should be aware of what they're making at the end of the month. And if we're having overall objectives, then we can have accounts where there's joint, and we can also have separate accounts based on what we are doing. Going back to one of the first things that was said, which is communication. When you have the communication, then you will be able to say, guess what? And the consultation, we will be able to decide what to do and what not to do together, what works for us. But both parties must know what we're working with, which kind of,
Okay.
you understand what we're working at. You must be aware we are doing this because of, and not that I am hiding money. So I want to slip in that question that
No, no, no.
you know,
I,
you know,
no, I said let me pause.
yeah,
I shared the three options,
yeah,
and I have it. I laid the foundation.
yes,
These are the three options, and it's a couple's choice.
couple's
Pause for
choice.
some feedback to continue because the foundation was laid even before. Not only did we establish, we
Mm.
must have the communication. There's this shared goal and
That's
shared
shared.
vision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the shared goal, and allow me to use this analogy,
Go
the
ahead.
shared goal is that we are heading to Castries, Scarborough, Bridgetown. So we are heading to the capital of our country. We agree on that. This is where we're going. We could decide, so we know this is where we're going. We can use the bus, we can use the train, we can use our own vehicle. What would determine that would be, okay, if you don't have your own vehicle, that would not be an option. If you're looking at budget and you want to be cost effective, you may decide the bus. So that having your own account or having yours, mine, and ours, that's just the bus or the train. You already know where you're heading. You already have the big picture. You
Right.
already agreed upon the shared goals. So when I have my own money, you know that this is for me to take care of, whether it's my personal items. And
Right.
you're well aware of the balances on each other's account.
Right.
Trust, love, open communication, it is the ideal. So what if I have a spendthrift spouse? What if
Spendthrift spouse.
my spouse knows that there are funds available, and I know my spouse, once they are aware, my spouse will find some way of saying, hey, we can use this money for project A or project B. That is suggesting perhaps some level of breakdown, because your spouse, if you're saying your spouse may find a way to use that money that you have, that you prefer to put aside quietly because your spouse may want to use it, then we're stepping back. Are we having the conversation? Are we agreeing on our goals and prioritizing, so that if your spouse may want to have project B executed, you have the discussion and decide it's not high on the priority list. We agree on that. When you look at everything else that you want and your timeline, this, yes, honey, this sounds like a good project. It has potential, but how would that impact what we discussed? So having the conversation, instead of thinking to hide, instead of thinking, and I don't want to use the word to say judge, because one may say, okay, I live with this person for years and I know this is how they are. I would ask you to have the hard conversation. Yes, it may cause conflict at first, but if we get into the practice and the habit of doing it together, share the goals, and this will help to bring the relationship closer. It will help you to be able to have a conversation not only about money, but about other hard and difficult topics and areas to discuss.
All right. Excellent. And the key word here tonight, if you want to put it down, is communication. Of course, I like what is being said just now. Shared goals. Shared goals. Are we having shared goals? Do we know? Are we continuing what it's about? We want to get into a very key and important area here that couples may be going through. You're good, and so on. Folks need help in debt. I always have trouble pronouncing that word. The DEBT. Yes.
That
Yeah, debt. You know, we're in overwhelming amount of debt. What are some ways that we can break out of that? How? How can I manage it? Consolidating what? What can I do? What can we do when we're in a lot of debt?
okay. What got you there?
So mainly they said that there are three areas, but we can look at one. Some folks are in credit card debt. Some folks, let's say job loss could be a reason. You know, they have a bill, they would have taken out a loan, and then they lost their job. One person lost a job. How do you work through your debt? And could be also bad spending.
Right. So I asked the question, how did you get there? And so it's important as a couple for you to ask that question, when and how. Once you establish that, and if, as Pastor shared there as one of the possible reasons, if it's because of job loss, well, one could understand that. You had the loan and you were able to be servicing the debt all along excellently, and then this happens. As we say, life happens. I'll stick a pin quickly for emergency fund, so that even in answering how did you get there, a holistic plan for the family would include that fund, that rainy day fund that we often speak of or refer to it as an emergency fund, which will help in circumstances like these, unexpected, unplanned. It's unavoidable. But that fund, which ideally would be able to cover 6 to 9 months of your expenses, would be able to help you to prevent you from getting deeper in debt because of loss of earning. So keep that forefront. Now, an emergency fund is not achieved overnight. And you heard me saying 6 to 9 months of whatever your expenses are. So you should have a fair idea of what your monthly expenses are. And if you look at it in that way, to be able to cover at least up to 9 months, then you're in a safe position not to have your debt ratio deteriorate. But that's only in that one context of job loss. How did you get there? You have the option of what's your attitude. Now we're talking about relationship, but there's a silent relationship that takes place in our relationship. And what's that? It's our individual relationship with money. And oftentimes, that lands us in debt crisis. And that contributes big time to the stress level of a lot of individuals. So know what it is and then have a plan in place. Have a list of every single debt from the institutional to the individual that you may be owing. Include all of it. And then rank them by the amount, the largest one perhaps at the top, and write the outstanding tenure or term for payoff. This will give you a clear picture. This is what you want, a dashboard view of your finances. And I'll stick a plug for having a financial plan because it's going to allow you to know where you are at any given number. I did a session recently for a group of engineers, and it was captured know your numbers. And one of the critical numbers to know is the total amount of debt or your liabilities. When you know that and you have it listed, then you're able to put a plan in place. And if you want some quick wins, then you could start with the smallest amount. And that could be a motivator where you're able now to see you're making headway. So the smallest could be your credit card, and that's a quick fix for management. So you start getting that to an acceptable level and perhaps putting it away until you're back on your feet, until you feel a bit more confident and secure with your finances. So you move and you tick off as you go along, and
All
you're able to
right.
smile because you're making headway with your finances.
All right, let me come in here. Let me just slide in over this part here. Um, right. So I hear you mention that you want to start off with small wins and you're going to the credit card. I may differ from you on that. You're the financial guru here. But if I'm going to start clearing off debt, I want to start with a small man. The man I have $500 for. And the reason I'm starting with the small man, because I get to see the small man every day. I'm passing that person. I have to see them. I don't know the bank people. I must see them till I get into the bank or when they call me. So sometime for me, I'm talking me here. If I'm going to consciously function, I want to give to the small man before the institution. Can you advise there?
Right. The beauty about your response, Pastor, if you recall, I did say it start with the smallest. So your list may have the small man.
Right.
I guess I jumped and made reference to a credit card, but your list could be the small man. So when
Right.
you have everything listed, whatever is your smallest, and if you're the individual in terms of knowing what motivates you, if seeing those quick wins, what I refer as those low hanging fruit, would do that for you, then you go at it. For some individuals, they may prefer to see the big number gets
Go down.
smaller and
Yeah.
smaller. Either approach, I am tying my recommendation with mental health. What will work to remove and reduce the extent of your stress level?
Excellent. Excellent.
Because I think life, not think, we were created for happiness. And while we are doing, and if I should vary a little, I'm always trying to lose weight, viewers. But I never like the idea that I should go on a diet that will prevent me from eating that nice black cake that I like or my cheesecake that I like. So I will lose the weight. I will get on a program, but I will just be more moderate so that I don't feel restricted and deprived. Likewise, with budgeting, I say to people, it should not have you feeling like there's a noose here and you can't breathe, you can't enjoy any form of entertainment. What we have to do, if we know what we want to achieve and we are continuously working towards it and we're seeing headway, it may just mean reducing, making incremental changes along the way that will at least advance us to our cause. So if small man is your 200 on your list, all well and good. The point is what works for you, whether it's a big number or starting from the small number. And as well, it may mean you would want to consider alternative sources of income to hasten that process of reducing those debts.
All
But it
right.
can be done. And when
Well,
we get out of it, please, because I always say we need to recalibrate our mindset. If we don't, money never solves money problems. So as a couple in the relationship, we wish we could win the lotto, but we don't do lotto, right? But people say it. We wish we can get a windfall. Many have gotten it and they ended up back in the same position. When you get
correct.
out of debt, you must be determined to stay out of it. Why? Remember, we spoke of the big picture perspective where you know what those plans are. Remember, we prioritize, these are what we want to achieve. So if you're reducing the debt, going and incur another debt, and we may come up
Then,
with great reasons, but how is that impacting the plan that we already have, that it's still a priority and it's still important to us as a couple?
well, you're heading in right there to one of the last aspects that we want to get in, and friends, I want to remind you we're already we're already close to the hour. Um, I want to remind you here that if you do have a question, send your questions. You can send your question here. I'm getting some questions on WhatsApp. I guess people want to be a bit more private in asking, and that's fine too. If you want to send your questions on the live, that is also fine. Which begs the question. I want to read this. I want to read this question here. Right. Someone would like to know, what do I do if my spouse spends all the money? Well, they didn't say spend here. They say waste. Waste the money. Should I have my own financial goal? I guess that means they continuously waste the money. So should
Yes.
I have my own financial goal?
And oftentimes, one would need to get a little more information and context in order
All right.
to rightly respond. But generally, the mere idea, even that the word waste is being used, suggests a lot. So what you refer to as waste, your spouse may not consider that to be a waste.
Mhm.
So I'm saying it could be. Now, I'm not negating or nullifying what you're saying or asking, but I just want to give you a perspective that your spouse may not perceive this to be a waste. Let me share something. You know, during dating and courtship, sometimes a young man may admire a lady because her hair is always well groomed. She's always have this polished and graceful finish, and the steps in the right strides, and the shoes and the handbag, everything beautifully aligned.
Yes.
Now, this is what attracted you.
Hmm.
Upon marriage, now you sometimes you find, okay, money is too much money is going on shoes and clothes and handbags.
Oh boy.
I hear you saying one should understand changes and development and priority. But this is what attracted you. This is where I am coming from. This is my relationship with money over the years. What would cause that to change overnight? Because I'm married? Because someone else thinks that the money should go somewhere else? So the point I'm making is understanding each other's relationship with money that would have been, whether it's through observing from their family. There's some who would have grown up in family poverty stricken, and so they're determined, and they may become very frugal because they do not want to end up back in that place. So
Right.
for the spouse that is saying you're wasting, that spouse could be coming from that space. So we must understand each other, see why I am spending in this way, and find a middle ground. If we have shared goals and values, we agree that we want to acquire a home, we agree that we are going on this vacation at this period, we have the monies allocated accordingly. But a spouse, one of the partner is taking the money and do otherwise, then, because I'm putting it into context, then I can say, well, you're going against, you have a point of reference because we discussed this, we had the conversation, we agreed that this is our priority. If you are spending this way, you are hurting our ability to achieve our goals together. If we have a conversation like that, which sounds reasonable, and the person is open minded, then you might be able to get your spouse to move from that place to have them, what you may say they are wasting the money on, maybe the spending towards that could be reduced because
Okay.
they are now seeing and agreeing on the big picture for the family or for the couple.
All
So there
right.
could be so many factors in that, right? Are you making the decision on your own and the spouse is not part of it? You know, there's so many things.
It's so, and that's the thing, and that and folks, we don't want to miss this message as we're coming here to the close. That couples differ. And I
Yeah.
know we have a lot of financial books, we have a lot of relationship advice, but it's important for you to recognize whose you are and who you have. So you will know what you can work with and to have that discussion. All right? To have that very, very important discussion with each other.
Pastor,
We,
I want to say one thing though.
sure, go ahead.
If as a couple you think to yourself you would have given fair share, you would have gone through the process, and you still have a spouse that their spending is not aligning to meet family goals and objectives, then you have to make that conscious decision as to how you're going to manage your finances to preserve your family, to preserve the goals, and to ensure financial security.
Excellent.
Because let's face it, there are some that are challenged that may need professional help in terms
Mhm.
of their spending habit. I've seen individuals cause havoc financially and their families because of their spending habits. And working with them and going through a process, I mean,
Yes.
change could come. But in the interim, one has to be wise and do what is necessary. There are three options to ensure you preserve your family or yourself in terms of financial stability and security.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. We, I know you work with youth, and so I must give you this question before you go. You work a lot with young people. Someone would like to know: is it wise to marry someone based on their financial status?
Good question. Is it wise to marry someone based on their financial status?
Yes, that is the question.
That is a question. Um, why should we get married? What are the reasons I would ask? Match your money? Are we matching our money? We are supposed
Much.
to marry, as far as I'm aware, for love. You know, first and foremost, fundamentally, we are supposed to love that person. I know of individuals of different income brackets,
Right.
but compatibility is important. Must you be financially compatible? Not in the context of dollar value, but ideally in the context of values, how you value finances. This is where you want compatibility
I
because,
like that. I like that. I don't want us to miss that. When we're talking money about in choosing someone, it's based on not the amount they have, but the value they have
yeah.
for money. Don't miss that. Somebody ought to type in the chat now, value for money. The value for money. That's what it's based. Go on. I hope I haven't cut your thought, but go
No,
ahead.
no.
Yes.
Recently, a couple was interviewed on a local television station, and it was shared that the husband was a security guard, and today he's the owner of a big business.
All right.
So you may love someone and may feel restricted in terms of going all the way into marriage because of their financial position now. But
Yes.
if in your relationship you could realize that this person is ambitious and you see financial compatibility in terms of values, then you know that the potential for growth is strong and likely to happen. Because you can, on the onset, marry someone starting off financially stable. But because, again, their mindset and their approach to finance is not a healthy one, they can move from that level of a high net worth and gradually reduce to one being highly indebted. So
All
for
right.
that young person, I would say ensure you're marrying for the right reason, and finance, dollar value is never a reason for marrying anyone, at least not on your top five list, by the way. So ensure that person, you love them, ensure that they're ambitious. And once you're ambitious and you're having that money talk, that hard conversation early in the game, then you know you can grow together. Your shared values, your goals, your prioritizing what you want to achieve, and you can move as a couple to see yourself 20 years down the road and say thanks to you as a young couple for the decision that you made then, allowing us as an old couple to be able to live this type of life, even in our pre or post retirement stage, growing old together.
All right. So we're saying we're not marrying you for your sense, but you must have some sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Then so we must bring you back. Of course, we have so many other things we could discuss on finance. When it's best to credit, when it's best to invest. But we want to thank you so much for being with us. I want to say that I've had some takeaway here from you. Um, that we can have, and those who are listening, I have folks who love to type in, so get ready to type these, and I want to call them the 5 C's for the couple. 5 C's. 5 C's when it comes to your sense. 5 C's. All right. And so we have communication,
Mm-hmm.
consultation,
Mm-hmm.
careful planning, clear goals, credit reduction. All right. Can we have that in right there, folks? Communication, consultation, careful planning, clear goals, credit reduction. That is what that is what romance and finance is really all about. Couples with sense do these things. All right. Couples with sense. Again, thank you. You want to say thank you for Sister Desiree for coming. Say thank you. You can always get on to her to consult, and that consultation will not be free. She'll tell you more about that. But she is a financial consultant, she is a life coach, and she can talk with you through whatever it is, financial difficulty or so on you may be going through. Feel free to contact. Ms. Desiree, would you like to leave a number or, sorry, or an email for that?
All right. My number is fine as well. Six eight
Sure.
eight 688 3862.
All right.
Uh, if you
So
want
that,
the email, it's D as in dad, B as in boy, D as in dad, Hackett, Hotel Apple, Car, King, Echo, Tango Tango, dbdhackett
all
at
right.
gmail.
I think I can put that into the chat right now. Let me
So
get that in.
while Pastor is doing that, couples, viewers, the thing is nice. You can truly enjoy the honey in your money. As we said, the finance and the romance, it could definitely go hand in hand.
Yes.
While the money could be a source of conflict, know that indeed it is a tool to help you achieve those wonderful things. So, as Pastor beautifully cap it off, summarize it for us, couples, your 5 C's, put those into practice, communicate big time, and enjoy the fruit of your labor. Really a pleasure interacting with you and sharing with you on this platform.
All right.
So the
Thank you
opportunity.
all very much for stopping by. Thank you for being here. Thank you, of course, Desiree, for having you. And thank you guys for tuning in to I Talk with Pastor. Please, please share the live. Um, you can save a life when you do so. Remember, we continue to pray for one another and we continue to encourage one another. This is I Talk with Pastor conversation about life and faith. Thank you for being with us. Good night.